welcome everybody. My name is Hannah Kaplan. I work at the Center for International Experience. And thank you for joining us from different parts of the world and different time zones. And for those of you watching this recorded session, welcome to you as well. This is all about UHIP. We need the exclamation point to make it exciting, right, Sarah? You're like, yay, health insurance. Sexy topic, but it's very important actually. And we all want to make sure that when you are in Toronto, Ontario, that you understand your health insurance and know how to use it and get the most out of it. So we're going to go through some of those details today. I have the chat open too. If you have questions, I'm happy to take them throughout or at the end. So we can do either way. A little bit about the Center for International Experience, just so that you know, it is to support, we are here to support international students on the St. George campus. You might not have been yet to see our beautiful building. It is a historic building called Cumberland House. It has a plaque in front. We normally would have like free food for you around orientation. So you could even come in your second year, come and hopefully we'll be there in person and you can still get our free food at orientation, but it's good to know where it's located. That's where the UHIP office is. If you ever have to go in person, the UHIP office is within the Center for International Experience, and it's right across from what a lot of people refer to as the bookstore building or the Koffler Student Center. It's also where the Health and Wellness Center is, which I'll talk about a little bit more, where you can see a doctor or nurse or somebody on campus. So that's where we are, 33 St. George Street. We do hope to see you in person eventually. And for now, also to know the shortcut to the website, uoft.me/CIE will bring you to the CIE page that talks about the different programs and services that we have. So in terms of healthcare plans and support, U of T can be a little bit hard to navigate because there's different plans and different programs. And so today, I'm specifically going to be giving you more details about the University Health Insurance Plan that we just call UHIP. So you're going to hear different acronyms. Another one that you're going to hear is OHIP. And OHIP is the Ontario Health Insurance Plan that permanent residents and Canadian citizens have, which is different from UHIP, which is what international students in Ontario have. So this plan is not just for U of T students, it's all international students in Ontario. And I'll give you more details about it. But also to clarify, and I'll explain the difference a bit, you also have a supplemental plan, which is another health insurance plan that covers different things and is not offered through the Center for International Experience. It's offered through your undergraduate student union. And all students, both domestic, Canadian citizens, international students, all have that other one that's through the student union. So you can see that even domestic students are confused about like what's covered in which plan, because they have two plans and they're not always sure what's in which. Another support service that I wanted to mention that's available to all students, just because I think it's really important, is My SSP, which is available online. It's like an app that then you can call or chat with professional like counselors 24/7. And the neat thing is that they are, they're available in multiple, there's counselors who speak different languages, and it's a whole long list of different languages, so that if you are stressed about something, sad about something, so no matter your time zone, it's available for you. So it's highly recommended. It's not just like crisis, it's like even, I just feel like talking with somebody. And so try it out, download the app, mention it to your friends, it's for everybody. So someone's already asking about the UTSU plan, and I will get to it in a couple of slides, so not to worry. Focusing first on UHIP before we talk about the supplemental plan. So UHIP, as I said, is your main one. I like to consider it, it's like your basic one that is very, very similar to OHIP, the plan that I have as a Canadian citizen. So it covers, it's very comprehensive in terms of the amount, so up to $1 million per policy year, and it covers the main essential services, like if you have to go to a hospital and if you want to see a doctor. So the main things like hospital services and most doctor services are covered by UHIP. I'm wondering actually if I didn't set this up in advance, but it might be, actually now that we're recording the session, I feel nervous to go off and come back, but to say that you can get more details on the UHIP website will give you all the details of exactly what is covered and what is not covered. And I do want to explain that sometimes you see a title, like on the UHIP page, you'll see a title saying dental. So you're like, oh, my dental is covered in UHIP, but you have to click and read the details because then it will say only emergency dental services. So the same, it will say like outside of Canada, and you're like, oh, great, this is like travel insurance. I can go outside of Canada. And then you'll click and read the details and it will say only emergency services outside of Canada. So really read the details through because it will help clarify. Sometimes the title will say vision and you're like, oh, my glasses might be covered under UHIP, but no, it's only certain people of a certain age. So it's not 100% of everything, but I would say this is really your main thing that you're going to be using. And it's a very excellent plan. Also for the price that you're paying, if you were to try to get it privately, it wouldn't cover as much and it would be much more expensive. So it's a great deal for international students. It's because it's a package and it's for all international students. That's why you get like such a good deal. To explain a little bit then about your supplemental plan, it's the extra. I consider this like the additional bonus that covers the things that your main plan don't cover. So I know it's strange, but even for me, even with my UHIP, if I want to get my teeth cleaned in Ontario, that's just the way our healthcare system works. To get my teeth cleaned is not in my main insurance. I have to have an extra insurance. So for me, I'm not a student, it's actually my employer. But for students, including domestic students, they don't have it either in their main plan. It's considered extra, so they get it through the student union. So dental here covers like cleaning and things like that. The vision also here covers like prescription glasses and contact lenses. And a very important thing too, which is a little strange, I don't know why our system works this way, but that's how it currently is. Prescription drugs are covered normally by your supplemental plan. So they're not in your main UHIP. And this is why you're going to read on both pages. And we can share the slides of UHIP is the doctor. So I go to the doctor and the doctor visit gets covered by UHIP, but then the doctor says, okay, now go to the pharmacy and pick up this prescription. I go to the pharmacy, then it's my supplemental plan that's covering the prescription. It's not UHIP. So those are the two that you need to use together. So Student Care is the website where you find out more about it. And then you put in U of T, undergrad, St. George campus, and it will bring you to the details of your specific plan. So here it's the undergraduate student union. And I know there's different opt-out messages for both plans for international students who weren't here in the fall. I can say that they had an opt-out period, which I think is over by now from their website. It looked to be from September 1st to September 30th. They had a way that you can opt out, but then I think you'd be opting out for the whole year as opposed to doing it by term. And that then if you opted out, you wouldn't have the supplemental plan for the year. If you're not planning on being in Toronto for the year, that would make sense for you. I can't give you more details. I know there might be questions about like opting out of the supplemental plan because I don't run the supplemental plan. It's not through the CIE. So it's really best to contact UTSU because they're the ones who are the provider of your supplemental plan. So back to UHIP and how it normally works. It is coverage that covers you by academic year. So if in a normal year, if you would have arrived and started your term in September and you pay your tuition as an international student, then your coverage, it goes from September 1st to August 31st. And it's good to know that it doesn't last for the whole, let's say you're planning on being at U of T for 4 years. It doesn't last for 4 years. It actually relates to every year that you're a registered student. So in terms of, it's actually, there's a card and we talk about it as if it's like a credit card, but it's not. It's just, we encourage all students to print up when they're here in Toronto, they print up, we call it a UHIP card, but it's really just your UHIP information that has your name, your policy number, the coverage period, And you carry that with you because that's what you know when you have to go to the hospital or go to a doctor. And often students don't have it. It doesn't mean that they're not covered, but they just didn't know that they should print it. And it just makes it more complicated because the doctor, the hospital will ask you, what's your insurance, right? So we highly recommend as soon as you get here, you make sure to set it up so that you're registered and that you've printed it out, put it in your wallet, and you carry it with you in case you ever have to go for emergency. Hopefully not, but you have it with you. And then the next year, so you're in your second year, you go back in and you print up the card for the following year because the previous one that you printed would have expired August 31st. So just to remember to do it every year so that you have your current insurance with you. We have instructions on how to do that on our website, the task of get your UHIP card. And so it gives you all the steps that you would need to go through, and you just print it at home or wherever you are and carry it with you. Hopefully you feel healthy during all 4 years, but it's good to know that the Health and Wellness Center on campus is like your primary stop that's there for you. We have doctors and nurses. We also have like therapists and counselors. We also have groups for different topics, you know, healthy eating, sleep. There's a whole health promotion team. So we really want to make sure you use all of these services. Health and Wellness Center on our campus is not open 24/7. It's not like an emergency place to go. So if you're on campus living in res and then you're not feeling well at 2 in the morning, you wouldn't be able to go to the Health and Wellness Center because they would have sort of more like regular office hours. Their website, though, Health and Wellness does have a list of walk-in clinics, which are located nearby, which could be open evenings and weekends. So it's just good to know, to look that up, to know like, hey, if I'm not feeling well on a weekend, where would I go? Like if it's not an emergency, but I just really would like a doctor to like look into this cough that I've been having, and I want to go on a weekend. So walk-in means that you don't need an appointment. And there's certain clinics that are familiar with UHIP, your insurance. So it just makes it simpler that you have that printed with you. You show up, you show it to them, and you don't have to pay anything. They just see you there. You didn't make an appointment. Sometimes you have to wait if it's walk-in, depending on who else is there. It just really depends. For emergencies, the number here in Toronto is 911. And to know that U of T downtown campus, St. George, is located by amazing top rated hospitals in the country, and all of them like within 2 blocks. They're very close, so you should feel safe. But just to note, because it's different in every country, most of these hospitals, you can't just like walk in and ask to see a doctor and make an appointment. So they do have emergency rooms that you could go to in an emergency, but then all the other specialists that are in the hospital, let's say there's like someone, an endocrinologist or a specialist for ear, nose, and throat, you normally can't make an appointment directly. The way our system works is that your regular doctor would give you a referral. So you'd see maybe a doctor at Health and Wellness, and if they're not a specialist, if something needs to be looked into further, then they sort of put you in touch with the specialist office, and then you sometimes have to wait a bit, a couple of months maybe, to get the appointment with the specialist if it's needed. So just, I know sometimes students might like, there's a hospital, walk in, but you can't just like get an appointment that way. It's mostly through referral of your main like family doctor or a doctor at the Health and Wellness. Okay, I'm going to continue on. The one question was more for UTSU. So I'm just going to continue on with these, and we'll see if there's more questions at the end. In terms of finding a clinic or doctor that accepts UHIP, it just makes it simpler. So there might be a doctor, maybe you have a relative who lives in Toronto and they're like, come to my clinic up here in North York. It could be that that doctor's clinic has never seen that insurance or doesn't accept it. It doesn't mean that you couldn't go. What you might have to do is pay yourself and then ask to be refunded by the insurance company. So like that means making a claim to the insurance company. And so you have to have like fill out the right forms and do that. So it's a bit more complicated. And also sometimes, just to give you the heads up, maybe the doctor charged you $100 and then you put in a claim to UHIP, and maybe UHIP says, oh, for that type of service, normally we only pay $80. So just to, before you go and pay out of pocket, to make sure that it's actually covered and how much is covered, would just make sure you're not having to pay out of your own pocket. And a really simple way just to avoid all that is to take a look on the preferred provider network. So UHIP has like a website where you can check and by location, look for clinics or doctors that do direct billing. And direct billing is sort of like the simplest thing because you don't pay, they will actually look at your information and they get the money directly from the insurance company. So it just makes it simpler for you. Just some recommendations, and if you're going to be off campus and looking into other doctors and clinics. So I know we might get a lot of questions today about disenrollment. It's a little bit confusing even for me. So I have to say I work at the Center for International Experience, but I'm not the UHIP coordinator. But the information that I have that is most up to date still is that they decided to do it by term. So because we didn't know what was happening with COVID, when students would be able to come, when not. And of course, we're all hoping like that you can come and that you can come in January. So what happened was it was decided that if you were not going to come for the fall term, the full fall term, then I think it opened October 1st or whenever it opened that you could apply to disenroll. And they said, and you can disenroll up to November 1st. So you fill out the information and you say like, I don't need to pay for UHIP for the fall term because I can't actually use it because I'm not in Toronto for the full fall term. So that you can still do. Then they did want to specify though. So now we just found out that maybe students will be able to come after October 20th, U of T's on the list, get everything set up. If you had disenrolled, but then you actually came on November 15th, because the term is not over yet, it's really important that you have healthcare coverage while you're in Toronto. You can't assume that you disenrolled and that you come and it would be dangerous for you if you didn't have healthcare. So you would need to re-enroll and contact the UHIP office and say, actually, I'm here as of November 15th. And so you want to be covered for the rest of the fall term. So for winter, they're going to do the same thing. We hope that all students will be able to come, but if for some reason that you're not coming, there's going to be probably another disenrollment period where you're saying, you know what, I'm not coming at all for January. Please refund me for the winter term because there's no point in me paying for this health insurance if I can't use it if I'm not in Toronto for the winter term. So on our website, that was just like the update that came out. It's the same information. Nothing really has changed since the disenrollment. The disenrollment process is still open. But if you're planning on coming and you hadn't disenrolled, then don't do it because you're gonna want it. But I think they can adjust by month. This is another complicated thing. Like they can't calculate by day for how much to charge you. But I think they can adjust by month. So I know the office is going to be getting lots of questions. I unfortunately can't answer all of them, but that's the information that I have right now. Our UHIP office is there to support you. You can get to the website. The shortcut is uft.me/UHIP. Their email is there. They are doing their best to get back to emails within 5 business days. I know they have a lot of emails right now with questions. They do have a phone that I think the voicemails go to emails. So don't get frustrated if people are not picking up. It will be then the voicemail gets sent to an email and they'll be able to respond to it that way. The UHIP news is there. And also I think in general, please keep checking the FAQs, right? The Vice Provost page for COVID because things keep on changing. So that's really an important place to get information and updates on any of those things. So that's it for now. I'm not sure. I see a question in the chat I can answer. I don't know if you want the chat questions recorded as well. You can choose. So how can we access the form? So the form to disenroll for UHIP is available on our student. So the Center for International Experience is part of Student Life. And the Student Life then has a section for CIE, and then CIE has a page for UHIP. And on that page, there's like an announcement with news, and they actually have then just a link to the form that you fill from there. So if you were to click this news UHIP during COVID link, you'd be able to access the form from there. So we'll be sure to send the slides to Sarah so that she can email it to the students who had registered. Are there any other questions?